The Ravens get the win, which I'm cool with. But was the last play, that last run, was it petty or was it necessary? Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, they mean always, you mean always, she means always, an instant classic.
Danny Dunn! Hi, JJJ.
We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
All right, what is going on, good people? I've come up with another name for this section of the podcast, this section of the Baltimore culture, whatever we want to call it. I'm calling it Ravens Recaps now until I think of another name, and then I'll probably change it again. We're going to have the Ravens Recap, the Colts Cap Off, the Browns Breakdown, and the Chiefs, I can't say cap off, the Chiefs Countdown, because Justin's never going to do a recap of his game, so that doesn't really matter. Casey's never going to do one of his games either, so it doesn't really matter. Browns Breakdown, Ravens Recaps, those are the only ones that really matter, because the other two aren't going to do anyway. But nonetheless, Ravens got the win against the Broncos on Sunday. Weird little 4:25 game for Baltimore fans, at least. But a fun game, nonetheless. 23-7 was the score, and I felt pretty good. I felt pretty good for the most part in terms of this game. I felt like the offense looked pretty good, the defense looked pretty good. Overall, a good win. First off, let's start here. The Ravens broke a record that I think was I think the highest, like longest reigning record for rushing games over 100 yards. And I think it was 1973, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the Steelers had done that. So that's cool. Cool little tie. Anytime you can break a Steelers record as a Ravens fan, you're happy about it. Or tie it at least. We'll see about next game. And we'll jump into the actual factuals of that. But cool to see. First off, let's start there, because I've been seeing a little bit about that. Was it petty? Was it necessary? Should it have happened? Was it disrespectful? Classless, shameful? Shut your mouth. Just shut it. Because you only get but so many opportunities to go after history. And it's not like, I think it's 43 games, if I'm not mistaken. It's not like 43 games happens in a season. 43 games don't even happen in 2 seasons. So, like, it would take a long time to be 4 yards away and not end up, I think they were 3 yards away. But either way, they were less than 5 yards away from it. One decent run would have got it. And people are like, oh, it was classless and shameful. Get out of here. You get one opportunity a lot of times for history, right? You get one opportunity. Quarterbacks don't have to throw for 5 touchdowns in certain games. They don't have to put up 500 yards in certain games, but they still do, and nobody says anything about that. So I'm cool with it. I have no problems with it, and I feel like on the other end, I would have felt the same way. Like, you're going after history. You're going after something that you hope nobody else can break. That's cool. Like, the Ravens have already kind of put themselves in this legendary category of rushing teams all time. So now to, like, solidify that in a way, that's cool for Lamar, the rushing, everybody who's involved in the rushing unit, the offensive line, Greg Roman. That's like Hall of Fame caliber type stuff. Like, if you're breaking records, that's huge stuff right there. But nonetheless, let's talk about the offense real quick, because to me, when I watched this game, I felt like the offense is like getting there, right? They're getting there. They're close. They're all so close, but they're also kind of getting there. And I know Bateman and Boykin, the Killer Bees, or we can't call them. Anyway, Bateman and Boykin are coming back, which is nice. Bateman to debut soon. Boykin to have his this season's debut coming up. Hopefully next week. I hope they bring them in next week to kind of just get them going a little bit, and then go from there. Tough matchup against the Colts on Monday Night Football, but it's nice because, and I don't think I said it on my show. I think I said it on the Third Perspective podcast, which you can watch on various platforms as well. Sometimes I, with our boy Rabbit Jones, sometimes I hop on there, and Radical Railroad comes on from time to time. OnlyFans J, of course, but sometimes I I was feeling like with this offense this year, it's a little different. But I think like Sammy Watkins has been huge for this team. Has he dropped some passes? Yeah, but every receiver does. You can't catch every pass that comes your way. So my thing is with Sammy Watkins, what I like about what I like about what he's brought to the table is like as long as he's on the field, I feel like Sammy Watkins is a threat. He's a good catcher of the football. He still has pretty good speed, especially as he gets older. Within the league, he's still within his experience and everything. He still has some pretty good speed, and he just poses a threat outside of the typical Mark Andrews and the Hollywood Browns of sorts. And I think that's good for the Ravens because it opens up everything else. When you got to worry about so many different people, we talk about the Chiefs a lot in terms of just everybody on the scope of the NFL and the talent that they have. And even you can even take it back to the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. The Chiefs has so much talent. I mean, Clyde didn't play in that game, but he's still a talented back, right? Clyde's a talented back. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce. And like even last year, you had Sammy Watkins. Like you got these guys. Go back to the Buccaneers too. You got Antonio Brown, Mike Evans. OJ Howard when he's healthy. Cameron Brate is out there too. You got Rob Gronkowski. Like all of this talent, and when you got to account for more, you can't put but so many DBs on the field. So in terms of the passing game, when you got to account for so many weapons, that's a huge thing. And I feel like the Ravens are starting to find their groove in the passing game, which we haven't seen before because the talent hasn't always been there. Prochet just came onto the scene last year, and he had a pretty good game in this game, and I hope they use him more often because I just think Prochet's hands are just great. I mean, from what I've seen from Prochet, he'll go up and make the contested catches. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but at the same time, he'll go up and make contested catches that probably 6'5" guys should be making, but I think he's only like 6'2", if I'm not mistaken. He's not the biggest guy, but at the same time, he poses a threat. And he has great hands, right? Prochet's been good. Hollywood came back, back to age in this particular game, which is good. And when Hollywood's catching the ball, he's dangerous. Get him the ball, and he's gonna be dangerous. I've always felt like Hollywood's gonna have a couple of games where he's gonna drop some balls. It's just one of those things, right? There's gonna be some passes that are gonna come his way, and he's gonna drop them. That's kind of like that's been Hollywood's story his entire career, right? He has some great games, and he has some games where he drops the ball, right? And like as a Ravens fan, you kind of have to live with that. But the one thing about it is you don't have to worry about Hollywood being the only threat, because I think when Bateman comes into the fold, that's going to be huge. I think even getting Boykin back, that's going to be huge, especially in the blocking game as well. But also, to have Mark out there, to have Sammy out there, to have Prochet out there, you got Duvernay. Now the offense is starting to mold to what I was hoping that I would see last year, right? People want to see this maturation in the passing game, but you don't have the weapons, or you haven't, or you may have the weapons, but you haven't shown the weapons, right? I talked about this last year, I think after the Bills game, but I'm like, what's the point? Or after a couple of these games, especially the losses, what's the point? That's my thing. What is the point of drafting Duvernay, Prochet, and these guys, Boykin and these guys, and if you're not going to use them, right? Like, let's at least see what we got. If you're not going to spend the money to go out and get a big-time wide receiver, let's see what we got on the team right now, right? Give Boykin a chance to go catch a jump ball, because I wouldn't know if he could catch one if you throw it to him, because they never throw them, right? Give Prochet a chance to get on the field. Give Duvernay a chance to do something other than a jet sweep, right? Give Hollywood a chance to get the ball in space and make some moves. And this year we've seen a little bit more of that. Prochet, now probably because of injury, but Prochet has been able to play a little bit more, right? At the same time, Duvernay has had a couple more, it's been weird with Duvernay because even in the first 3 games, it felt like Duvernay wasn't really out there that much. It was really last game and this game was the one, the game against the Broncos and the last game against the Lions. It felt like Duvernay was out there a little bit more. But other than that, it just didn't seem that way. So in terms of the passing game, I think the passing game is getting better. They're taking more shots, they're taking more chances. And I've always felt like the Ravens have always needed to take more chances. There is nothing wrong. Once again, I'll say it for as long as I can say it. You're the number 1 rushing team in the league. So that opens up your passing game so much more, especially when you look at the way Lamar is throwing the football down the field with accuracy. Does he miss a couple throws? Yeah. I mean, I've seen Justin Herbert and Derek Carr as we're on Monday night. do the same thing tonight. So it's it's just magnified with Lamar. But at the same time, I think from a passing game perspective, I'm impressed, and we haven't even really seen where it can be yet because there is no Miles Boykin, so you don't have that kind of experience factor with Miles Boykin, who has made some plays in the past too. But also you don't have Rashad Bateman, who you're leaning on to kind of be your number one guy to take the eyes off of Hollywood, right? Hollywood's been your number one guy in the past, and that's completely fine. But you kind of want the eyes to be taken off Hollywood. So when Hollywood gets the ball, maybe he's wide open, or maybe he has enough space to use his speed to get where it needs to be instead of everybody shifting over to Hollywood, right? Shifting over to Hollywood, shifting over to Mark Andrews and these guys. And plus Nick Boyle will come back as well. From a running perspective, even though they did pass the 100-yard mark, it took them to the last play of the game, but they did pass the 100-yard mark. I don't know how. First off, for those who didn't know, and I'm sure if you're a Ravens fan by now, you probably have watched enough, either Ravens YouTubers or Ravens media or something to know that Tyson Williams was a healthy scratch for this game. Why? Why? I have no idea, right? I have no earthly idea why they'd even go that route because you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? Why is it that you're going to, like, this guy's literally from the eye test, at least, right? Now, of course, none of us on YouTube are necessarily coaches. None of us on Facebook are coaches, but at the same time, you can see what you can see, right? We've seen literal people who study this for a living say that Lamar Jackson can't throw. So, or he should go to wide receiver. So who study these guys all the time. So my thing is, sometimes you got to look at the eye test, right? Like sometimes you have to look at the fact that, what am I seeing on the field? A regular Ravens fan who I love to watch on YouTube, Ryan, the regular Ravens fan, he always says, trust your eyes, right? And like when I watch the game, of course, with my eyes, how else am I going to watch it? Well, I guess you can watch it. You can listen to it on the radio. You can't watch it on the radio. But anyway, he always says, trust your eyes, right? He says, trust your eyes. And when I look at this game with my eyes, Tyson Williams has the most burst out of all three of the backs right now. The other backs, so basically it's Tyson Williams, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, and Latavius Murray, right? Latavius Murray is like kind of the north-south type guy. Le'Veon, of course, still getting into shape. You can't really bring him into account yet. I thought he looked pretty good for what it was. And then Devontae Freeman, I think he still has a little burst too. I've seen some of the times when he's had a little bit of room, he's done some good things. But for me, I feel like Tyson Williams has the most it out of all of them, right? He has the most kind of versatility out of all of them. He's a guy who's going to do, he's going to be able to push it down the field with his power, but at the same time, he's going to be able to do some things with his speed, right? We've seen him break off for big gains too. So my thing is, Tyson Williams should have been activated yesterday during the game for next week's game, right? Because you can't activate him for that game. He's already inactive, but he should have been activated yesterday for this week's game against the Colts, okay? He needs to be activated in advance for Monday Night Football. I'm just saying. Not at the last minute. No. It needs to be Tyson Williams. You can pick whoever else you want to pick. I mean, in my opinion, I think Tyson, definitely Le'Veon. I think Le'Veon poses a huge blocking threat, too, for the offensive team. I think it was a pass to Duvernay where Le'Veon Bell kind of set off the block to make that a huge gain. Le'Veon Bell is needed in this offense. He does exactly what the Ravens want him to do, and I think that's going to be huge for once he gets to where he needs to be. I think it needs to be Le'Veon. It needs to be Tyson Williams. And they like Latavius Murray so much. I guess Latavius Murray, right? Because then that way you can have Latavius Murray as your main like power goal line type back. And then you can have Le'Veon Bell as kind of he's still kind of the nitty gritty type guy where you're going to, line him up in passing situations, line him up to block sometimes, line him up to go block and release sometimes. But then, you also got, your other guys in Tyson Williams to be your main runner. Tyson Williams needs to be your main runner. He's earned his spot. I don't understand the big hoopla about the veteran presence or whatever the heck the Ravens feel with that last year. When Mark Ingram was struggling, they wouldn't take Mark Ingram out to put Gus in the game because Gus is obviously the better runner, at the time. At that time in the season, Gus is running better than Mark Ingram was. Same thing this year. Why the heck? I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure, and this is what I heard, is I think Tyson Williams has like 6.5 yards a carry or something. Everybody else has like 3 or 4. So my thing is, if Tyson is breaking off games, and you can take it with a grain of salt or whatever, you can say that, well, Tyson's had a couple of big runs and that's why, but you still need those big runs, right? You still need those big runs. Tyson needs to be in the lineup yesterday. Yes, he should have been in the lineup for that game. He needs to be in the lineup for the next game. I know he fumbles the ball. Man, y'all better go take him out and run him some drill, run some drills out there and be punching at the football and do it that way. Like, I mean, there's got to be a strip drill or something. There's got to be a way to improve, ball carrying ability. But for me, I feel like Tyson is the best option at running back. Please activate him now. Offensively, like I said, it was pretty good. Offensive line was okay. They're still trying to get themselves going. Ronnie Stanley was still out. Of course, Tyree Phillips is out. I can't remember what they said his injury was, but of course, Tyree Phillips is out. McCary's still trying to find himself on the right side. And I wouldn't be surprised the way McCary's been playing, which if they sub him in, I don't know if they can sub him in the right guard either because they got Zeitler right there. But I mean, McCary, I think, is a pro, though. McCary will do anything you ask him. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife in a way. He played center last year, and I think he's played left guard too. So, I mean, McCary will literally do anything you ask him to do. And I think he's doing a pretty good job of filling in a place where he's not really, it's not really his natural position. It's not really where he wants to be, right? It's not really even really where he's comfortable. So I think McCary, I think he's great as a backup lineman and eventually will be a starter at some point too. But I mean, I think when you need him, you kind of call on McCary, I feel like. But for me, I feel like offensively, I thought it was pretty good. I think they could have finished some other drives, but I think they did a pretty good job of, at worst, finishing with field goals, if nothing else. A couple missed opportunities here and there, but I mean, there's still chemistry issues with this team, right? Le'Veon ain't been on the team but so long. This is his first active game, and stuff like that. And that's kind of a thing. Prochet hasn't really been in the lineup in terms of on game day as much as you would want him to be either for a guy who's kind of just been on the roster for the last 2 years. So, I mean, I feel like offensively, I thought it was good. The last little last play to get the record. I think you got to go for the record. Why not? Right? Like I said at the beginning of the video, why not? Why not go for the record? You get a handful of times. You get a handful of times to make history. When history is there, you take it. You take it and you run with it. That's how I always felt about it. And that's what you got to do. Now, defensively, I'm impressed. For a team that's lost so much. I'm impressed, and I get it. They had to play against Drew Lock, who knows the system. So that's still a tough ask. They had to play against Drew Lock for a lot of this game. I think from the second quarter on, if I'm not mistaken, because Teddy Bridgewater went out with a concussion. But still, defensively, I think they played well. Oweh got another sack, which is good. I think his speed, even if he doesn't get to the quarterback, his speed in terms of chasing people down, I think is going to be huge. Malik Harrison was still out there, so I'm because I know Josh Bynes got called up too. So I wonder if they're going to kind of switch them out a little bit. I didn't really pay too much attention to see if Josh Bynes was in the game or not at any point. But that'll be interesting to see how they kind of sub them out. And it looked like they were playing, they were kind of using Jimmy like they were before. As Jimmy gets older and maybe a little slower, but still has the cover skills and the instincts. They've always wanted to kind of let him play safety a little bit, at times and let the faster safeties get down in the box and do some of the dirty work. And I think he played still on the outside, but in a lot of those, multiple DB formations, 3-4, DB formations, your nickels and your dimes and stuff. So I think that was good too. I mean, and I feel like Wink's doing a good job of strategically blitzing, given the personnel. Anthony Averett has played lights out on the outside. I think it's going to definitely get him paid because he's taken his in-game experience from past seasons where he may have struggled at times here and there, and he's used that to fuel himself to get better, which is what you always want to see. Defensively, I'm impressed with all the injuries and everything to hold this team, whether it was Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater or whoever, to hold this team down to 7 points. I think that's huge. Like we said before, Drew Lock's been in the system, so he knows what the heck he's doing. He didn't win the quarterback battle, but he's still been in the system and started and gotten some wins under his belt. So that's still big. I'm excited about this upcoming game with the Colts. Special teams is good as always. I'm excited about this Monday Night Football game coming up with the Colts. Going to be interesting to see if the Ravens can get their offense going a little bit earlier in that game. Given the way the Colts defense has played, it's been a little bit surprising because the last time they played the Colts, it felt like it took forever to get the offense going. But then when they did, it was like, just chugging along. Whereas I think this year could be a little different. I'm going to try to put out an official preview for that game, just to kind of, give the Ravens fans on the channel, or the people who care enough to watch, a chance to hear my thoughts on it, because I want to do more previews as well, and kind of, save all the fun for the Baltimore Colts Show weekly predictions that we do usually Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday night. So nonetheless, as always, hopefully we can get Adam to do a Browns breakdown. I'm going with it. I'm claiming it. That's the name. He'll probably think of something better, but a Browns breakdown very, very soon. Maybe a Colts cap off and a Chiefs countdown. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. As always, for our wrestling fans, stay tuned for anything we got coming on in terms of wrestling. I know we've been doing a lot of football lately, but hopefully we'll get some wrestling content for our wrestling fans out there as well. And for our football fans, Baltimore Colts Show weekly predictions coming up this week, probably on Tuesday, more than likely, but stay tuned. And you will be able to see exactly, all the fun that we have on that show. Don't know if Radical Rail's coming by this week. Probably so. He probably will. So it'll be fun as well to have Radical Rail from the Third Perspective podcast on as well. Go check them out too. As always, you want to watch us, YouTube, Facebook, whichever one is easier for you. You want to listen to us, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Google us. Probably some more that I don't even know at this point, but definitely hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this has been your Ravens recap for week 4. The Ravens get a good overall victory against the Broncos, hoping to do even better next week against the Colts. Should be a fun week with the Baltimore Colts Show, especially with Casey and I bickering back and forth about it. So should be fun. We'll see you guys on that next one. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.